Hi, I'm Andrei Mincov, the founder of Trademark Factory, and in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts about yet another trademarking screw-up. This time around, it's Willy McCoy. Alright, let me read it from the article and you can find the link in the description below. To dodge trademark dispute, Willy McCoy is to be renamed. Just a few months after opening, a Keen eatery is changing its name to avoid infringing on a Minnesota company's trademark. Willy McCoy's Pub and Restaurant at the Best Western Plus Hotel on Winchester Street launched in mid-October. The business was met with high praise from customers excited for a new bar, as well as those who missed the old tenant. The space formerly housed Waxy O'Connor's Irish Pub, which closed abruptly in the summer of 2017, and the interior of Willy McCoy's has nearly all the same decor. But owner Tracy Gunn of Munsonville said she's worked diligently to distinguish her pub's brand from its predecessor. I worked really hard to not get people to call it Waxy's, which is why I want to keep the Willy's part of our name, she said, because people still refer to it as the old Waxy's or the new Waxy's or whatever, and we aren't affiliated with Waxy's. Oh. She plans to start the transition soon to the eatery's new moniker, Willy Max. Alright, so let me get this straight. She came up with the name Willy McCoy's because she didn't want to be remembered as Waxy's, so she came up with Willy McCoy, got slapped for trademark infringement, and she changes that to Willy Max. That doesn't strike me as a particularly great idea, but let me keep reading. So Gunn said her husband Gavin came up with Willy McCoy's moniker from a line in Jim Croce's song, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Along with wanting a name that sounded Irish, Gunn said she was glad they could accommodate the large W emblazoned on the floor in one of the seating areas. Okay. Okay. After returning from a recent vacation, however, Gunn said she was hit with a curveball. She said she received a letter January 15th from lawyers representing Willy McCoy's, a chain of restaurants in Minnesota, explaining that the name is trademarked. The Minnesota company said its customers reported confusion with the Keen Eatery, according to Gunn, who said some of her patrons had also called the wrong pub a few times. She said, I understand their point. They worked hard. They built their business someplace else, and they're worried that if I'm not doing a nice job here and customers think I'm affiliated with them, it hurts them. Well, she gets it. Actually, she says, I get that, which is why I'm willing to kind of work with them on trying to resolve it amicably. Gunn posted Saturday on the Willy McCoy's Facebook page and asked the page's followers for their input on a new name. She told the Sentinel she wanted to include her customers and get their opinion rather than surprising everyone with a different moniker. Then that one is never a good idea, because usually your customers love your name so much and they want to support you so much that usually they give you just stupid ideas about, oh, let's come up with a new different spelling, or maybe let's, add a space there, and that's all you need to avoid being found to have infringed the trademark, and that's really never the case. So don't ever, 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 ever take trademarking advice from your own customers. That's not their role to advise you what name you could adopt and which name you couldn't. But let me keep reading. She said She pitched the name Sticky Willies, inspired by an English dessert, but found that Facebook followers weren't fans. After weighing her options and considering customers' feedback, she said she plans to rename the joint Willy Max. First though, she wants to confirm with the lawyers in Minnesota and ensure that the name is dissimilar enough from Willy McCoy's. Well, that's a smart move. But I think Willy Max is sufficiently different enough that it will not confuse my customers, and it certainly shouldn't confuse their customers, which is the goal, Gunn said. I think if we can keep the Willy part, I think we'll be fine. And I think it will be an easier transition for me. Most of the menu items have Willy in the name, she pointed out, adding that she thankfully hadn't installed her larger outdoor sign yet. She expects the complete transition to take a couple of months. It's a little setback, but not something that I'm gonna let get me down. I'm invested, so now I just have to make it work like everything. That's what you have to do in business. The only question I got is, how many times do you need to step on that trademarking rake over and over and over again? Okay, you came up with a name you thought was a good name. You didn't bother to check if it had been trademarked by somebody else. I get that. First time, right? You didn't think about it. You got the letter. Was a setback. Your husband and you were like, oh, now we got the letter, now what? And the first thing you do is you do exactly the same thing that got you in trouble the first time around. You start looking for different names, asking your customers without bothering to check if those other names are trademarked. Hello? And you say, yeah, I like the Willy name so much, and I just hope that this Minnesota company would be okay with that. Hope is not a strategy. That's the first thing you ask after you get the letter. Say, oh, I didn't realize it was your trademark. I'm open to changing the name. Would you guys mind if we still use Willy in the name? And you wait to hear their answer, because they caught you red-handed, right? Now they've got a hold over you. You can't come up with a new name and say, well, I think this is dissimilar enough, because they can still sue you for the old thing. So it's crazy to even think about other options that are somewhat similar to the old one until you're cleared with the owner of a registered trademark. And even then, even if you do come up with a completely different name or a slightly different name or whatever, and assuming the Minnesota company is happy with that, the first thing you need to do is check if that new name is doable, if that new name is trademarkable, if that new name is something that you can use, if it's a new name that you can own eventually. And by not doing it, you just keep walking over the same rake over and over again and expecting a different result. That's not the way you build a good brand, right? Okay, now if you found this video interesting, if you found it useful, subscribe now, get notified whenever the next video goes live. And if you got a brand that you want to protect, maybe you know that it's trademarkable, maybe you're not sure if it's trademarkable, you just know that it's a brand that you want to have. Great, go to trademarkfactory.com, book a free call with our strategy advisors, and they'll help you get this thing started. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.